Steven Spielberg had a simple way to describe Poltergeist before it came out.
Just that it's real scary. It's real scary.
The Oscar-winning director gave E.T. the lowdown on the making of this horror classic.
There's some esoteria in Poltergeist, but essentially it's a movie about tightening your stomach muscles and keeping them there for 2 hours, until something gives, either the movie or your stomach.
This house is clean.
Spielberg broke onto the scene by terrifying audiences with Jaws, and he couldn't help but compare Poltergeist to his very first blockbuster.
It's sort of a land Jaws for me. It's a movie about ghosts, but it's not a send-up.
Well, who did you mean? Who's here?
The TV people.
Well, the great similarity is the terror is relentless, and the terror is unseen in both movies. In Jaws, you see the terror at the end, and of course in Poltergeist, you also see the terror at the end. Both films are, you can watch watch Jaws and Poltergeist like this. That's a great way of watching movies. I used to watch films all the time that way when I first saw The Thing when I was a kid.
Spielberg produced and co-wrote Poltergeist, leaving directing duties to Tobe Hooper, director of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Spielberg was busy in pre-production on perhaps his most famous movie, E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial.
Sometimes what I think the motion picture business needs is just a shot in the arm of new concepts and new notions. It's really a movie about a haunting in suburbia.
Both E.T. and Poltergeist turned Los Angeles' San Fernando Valley into a now iconic cinema backdrop.
I love making films in Los Angeles or in Hollywood. I like working here. I like sleeping in my own bed at home and driving to work in the morning as opposed to staying at a Holiday Inn somewhere in Montana.
Something's funny going on here next door.
Both movies I've sort of been making together. I mean, I was cutting Poltergeist and then cutting E.T. only 3 weeks apart. So it's almost like making two movies at the same time. And I found that was, in a way, helpful because it gave me great objectivity. When I was working on Poltergeist, I had enormous clarity about E.T. And when I was suddenly involved in E.T., I had enormous clarity about Poltergeist.
Fantastic.
They're so different. Poltergeist is a scream and E.T. is a whisper. And yet they're very broad-based movies, meaning they reach out, I think, to all audiences.
Knocking out back-to-back movies in 1 year became a habit for Spielberg, even after this grueling schedule took its toll on the filmmaker.
A lot of sleepless nights. It's hard to hold a solid relationship with your personal life when you're working this hard. I've never worked harder, I don't think. Essentially, the only real problem was that you can't do everything. I keep trying to wear all the hats and realize only one or two hats fit.
And you only move the headstones! You only move the headstones! Why?
Poltergeist's terrifying scenes were all the more disturbing thanks to its Oscar-nominated visual effects.
This thing is growing out of her, and it's getting larger and larger, and it goes whoosh, breaks up like blowing a smoke ring apart in the air. It has a lot of reality, and it has a lot of extraordinary special effects in it.
I've never sensed anything like it.
I'm sitting here, true to form, talking about epic production value, when in fact, it's the heart of the movie that sells the tickets. It's who the people are, it's how they relate to each other, and it's what the story is about that grabs the audience.
While Jaws made audiences afraid to go in the water, Poltergeist made people afraid of what dangers might await them in their own homes.
I think that's fun. People like to get on a downhill run and stay there until they either win or hit the wall.